sunset, lay our heads in darkness.
Hi, I'm Jessica Lawrence with the Association for Postal Commerce, and I am here live at the National Postal Forum. Today we're going to be talking about everything that's hot at the Postal Forum this year, and with me I have panelists.
Hi, my name is Sharon Owens. I'm the Manager of Industry Engagement and Outreach with the United States Postal Service, and I've had the pleasure of organizing the postal involvement at this event.
Hi, I'm Tony Conway, the Executive Director of the Alliance of Nonprofit Mailers.
Hi, I'm Jody Berenblatt. I am the GrayHair Advisors. Right behind us you can see the GrayHair software booth.
And I'm Mike Comstock. I'm co-founder of Ursa Major Associates and the producer of PostalVision 2020.
And as you can see behind us, we're actually on the exhibit hall floor at the Postal Forum, and right behind us is the GrayHair booth where, yes, that is a real person getting a real tattoo. And so, kicking off, Sharon, why don't you tell us a little bit about the exhibit hall?
Oh, the exhibit hall, we have over 100 vendors here that are offering solutions from pre-sorting solutions, software solutions. The Postal Service has a brand new redesigned booth. I'm really excited about it. New colors, and it's focused on solutions and not just product stovepipes. So I'm really excited about all the activity. It was fun to walk around this morning.
Yeah, there's a lot going on today. And Tony, I know you guys have a booth as well.
Well, actually, we don't have one this year.
Oh, you don't have one.
But we had a breakfast this morning. The Alliance of Nonprofit Mailers has been having a breakfast prior to the beginning of the forum on Monday morning for 20 years probably, and we had another one this morning and had a nice turnout. We had our guest speaker was the Inspector General of the Postal Service, David Williams.
So what did he say?
Well, Dave, if you've seen Dave talk, he's a brilliant guy and he's a futurist, and he talked a lot about not only the constraints and the problems right now, but about the future of the ways and the different things that might be done to transform the Postal Service into an organization that can really thrive in the 21st century. Fascinating stuff.
And he talked, I attended as well, and he talked a lot about how the Postal Service, how they've been releasing reports recently about some of the things that they could do to kind of bridge the gap between digital and physical. And he touched on some ideas there, as well as P.O. boxes and things like that. So he had a lot of interesting things to say, and I thought it was very informative.
At this morning's open session, I heard the Postmaster General ask the question and ask everybody, what is the future for mail?
Yes, and that's a very interesting question that I think a lot of conferences are taking on. Where is the future of mail going? And I thought he announced a prototype called My Post, which is an app for smart devices that looks over things that you get in your mailbox, or you know it's going to be coming over the next few days, and they kind of showed a little bit about that. They also touched on that at MTAC. Paul Vogel, who was the then vice president or president of digital, talked about that as well. So,
And just breaking up right now, you'll see all the people coming in. Some of them have probably been at Randy Muscanek's session. He replaced Paul Vogel as the vice president of Secure Digital Services, and he was just presenting today, and I'm sure he was covering My Post and how we can use technology to show people to track their mail, both incoming and outgoing mail, as well as packages, but just all the different opportunities we have to enhance the physical physical products with digital enhancements.
and I also think the PMG kind of touched on, he gave 4 kind of key things the industry should focus on in the near-term future, and one of them was using data as well as making mail more creative, making it more relevant. He really talked about the customer experience and really engaging them through mail. Now he did not ignore other mediums, but he said do it as in conjunction with, and he really touched upon how mail is an integral part of all communications to customers, which I thought was great.
I'm sure mailers appreciate that he pledged to affordability.
Yes.
That's what we want. Reliable, affordable postal services.
He did acknowledge a lot of the cost-cutting measures that they've been doing, and he talked about how they've taken out $15 billion costs, and that's a large number.
Yeah.
And they're still, on-time service and service performance has been at an all-time high, thanks to a lot of the kind of information that they've been getting out of mail and the intelligent mail barcode.
Now today's day 2. I heard there were tons of people packed in rooms on Sunday morning starting at 8:30.
Yes.
And it was about service. So what happens around the country is we have area focus groups, and quarterly, the areas get together and reach out to mailers to address service issues and have a nice little like mini forum where we can discuss issues. Well, this year we had all 7 areas come together, and Megan Brennan, our Chief Operating Officer, led a panel co-hosted by Joyce McGarvey, who's the chairman of the National Postal Forum, and Laurie Timmons, who's the Area Focus Group co-chair. They had speakers. Jimmy Cochran spoke, Randy Muskanek spoke, Dave Williams spoke on the network. I spoke, gave an overview of the forum. And
Happy Thanksgiving!
And I said that was
I heard
in the
Kristen
next
Seaver
session.
spoke a little bit about the Hurricane Sandy stuff.
I gave a plug for it. She is speaking on Tuesday.
Great.
She spoke at MTech, and it was very interesting to see the response, and obviously safety first for employees, which I think anyone involved in Hurricane Sandy felt that way. You know, safety first for employees. But it was really interesting stuff that she had to talk about.
Yep, so if you were here on Tuesday afternoon, you could go hear her do it again. But I had requests from MTech. Hey, she should do that at the forum, so we were able to accommodate that.
Terrific.
Go ahead.
I was going to say another newly added session, because we're flexible here at the Postal Service, was to
Flexibility.
was to work in some 5-day mail, 6-day package sessions.
What does that mean?
So we made an announcement back in February after the program was kind of locked up here at the forum, where the Postal Service announced that we're planning in August to deliver mail 5 days a week while continuing to deliver packages 6 days a week. And we're working through those operational plans, and tomorrow we're going to offer 2 sessions in a large ballroom so that customers, if you already wanted to go to a workshop here, you can go to the next one. And we're going to have our Vice President of Delivery, Ed Phelan, and our Vice President of Network Operations, Dave Williams, talk about the plans to date and take questions as we're working out the final details of what that's going to look like. So it should be a great session.
And the 5-day mail, 6-day package delivery is a hot topic within the industry, and it's also a hot topic on the Hill. Tony, you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, it is. When the Postal Service came out in February with the announcement they were going to move out on August 5 with the 5 and the 6-day change, it was as bold a legislative move the Postal Service has ever made, bolder than anything, nothing remotely close to it. And it's really served as a great tactical move because it's going to force the Congress to have to deal with the overall postal reform issue. And because there are pockets out there and there are interest groups that for various reasons don't want to have this change take place. Many of them are very powerful on Capitol Hill. So the Hill is probably going to have to take some proactive action addressing not only Saturday delivery, but the other components of postal reform. And the talk right now is perhaps in April. They're trying to move quickly. Probably it'll start first in the Senate, drop a bill, and they're going to try to move quickly on it. And it's going to be fascinating to see. The Postal Service is moving ahead as if August 5 is the day. And it's going to be fascinating to see whether that really is the day. But I think it's a great move by the Postal Service. Without some aggressive action here, the chances are that the Congress will just go ahead and punt again and let the organization struggle yet another year. So they're forcing the issue. I think it's a wonderful thing.
Well, luckily mailers now have a chance to plan for the change.
Yeah.
Yeah, what is it? You plan for the worst but hope for the best kind of thing. And so I think with the way right now, the 6-day rider is in an appropriations bill, which is part of the budget process that the House and the Senate go through every year. And so with this change, although the continuing resolution that is our budget, or federal budget for 2013, they have included this for the rest of the year. And so several have gone on record, and the PMG himself has said, well, we're going to do it regardless. We think we have the legal authority. So I think this is going to turn into a bigger issue. Now, there are tons of postal issues that need to be addressed, but I think you're going to see a lot more movement on the Hill surrounding 5-day and 6-day as we move forward, especially as with a part of the continuing resolution.
Yeah.
So, Tony, do you think your members have any idea how much of their mail gets delivered on any day of the week?
Oh, they do. They don't target an exact day, not with standard mail and periodicals, but they have a range, 2-3 days, and the service has been pretty predictable. That's what they want, is predictability. I mean, we have come out, and we were the first actually mailer organization that came out and said, listen, we'd love to keep Saturday delivery, but look at the facts. It's not affordable anymore, and we can live with it. And so we can adapt. You know, there are certain nonprofits that Saturday is an important day. For example, church newsletters. We try to target delivery on Saturday for services and so on the weekend. But you can adapt, have that delivered on Friday. And it's interesting. I think the Postal Service has done an incredible job not only moving out on that issue, but their communication has been superb. They have beat this issue at MTAC. They've beat it in the mailing groups on the Hill. I think there's as good an understanding of what they're up to as any operational move that they've proposed in a long time. And it's going to be fascinating to see. The whole question of, is it legal or not? You have two sides there. You know, I guess eventually, if there is still confusion and the Hill hasn't acted, will the Postal Service actually go ahead? I wouldn't be surprised at all if indeed it gets to that point. You're going to see some movement perhaps in some legal forums, perhaps at the PRC or in the courts, to try to get an injunction against the movement to do it. I mean, it's not a done deal at all. But the key on this is, I think most everybody in Washington understands it's going to happen. It may not be August 5, but it's going to happen. It's just a matter of time.
I think it's one of those cost-cutting measures that will have a direct impact on the bottom line immediately. And I think, you know, that it's not a rollout where they'll have to wait. I mean, it's an immediate savings in an organization that's losing, you know, hand over fist, billions upon billions of dollars a year. And I think it is, you know, it is part of a long-term plan. And I hate to say it's almost inevitable now that you're going to move in that direction.
Well,
and
if you ship parcels, though, there's new offerings coming out, right? Besides being able to deliver on Saturday, there's a couple new products I thought I heard the PMG speak about this morning. Metro Post, same day.
Yeah, and I also, and there's also, I believe, in a session tomorrow.
So the Chief Marketing Officer has a session tomorrow, and she's going to talk about enhancements to our package offering. They did talk about Metro Post, which is a same-day pilot that we're testing here in San Francisco. We had a real carrier wearing his Metro Post uniform deliver cookies to the Deputy Postmaster General on the stage this morning. That was really cute. But he showed me the technology that he uses, and technology is just enabling not only the same-day Metro Post, but would also enable us to do dynamic routing to more efficiently deliver packages on Saturday. So there are a lot of things that came together to help make six-day delivery of packages possible. Technology, a contract with our National Association of Letter Carriers and ALC, and the rural carriers gave us the flexibility that we needed to be able to efficiently do this. And with packages growing, we're really committed to being a strong package delivery platform.
And I also think, you know, kind of moving on topics into technology, that technology is kind of all housed in the intelligent mail barcode. Right. And there's a whole suite of barcodes, everything from containers to trays to piece barcodes. You have package barcodes. So I think pallet barcodes, I mean, you can go on and on and on. But I think that technology is enabling a lot of things to happen now. Everything from, you know, 2013 is big data. That's all companies are going with big data, and I think Postal has been swept up into that big data mentality, and they're really starting to make that data actionable.
Well, we need to embrace technology, and the forum gives us an opportunity to talk to customers, one, about how to use the data to add value to their business, two, about how to prepare their mail so that data is available. We know that going to full service, which the Postal Service will require in January of 2014, we are not backing down from that date. It'll be required to get automation prices, and there are a lot of workshops here at the forum that'll teach you how to do it, and then once you do it, how to use that data to add value to your business. Preetha Mayer, our Vice President of Business Mail Entry and Payment Technologies, had a session yesterday, a mega 2-hour session. Jimmy Cochran is on today, really talking about the value you can get from full service IMB. And Ellis Burgoyne, our Chief Information Officer, has a keynote address on Wednesday morning where he'll have his entire leadership out to talk about data and technology, and especially all that we're doing in the last mile, like real-time scanners. The Postal Service will finally get real-time data. We're very excited about that.
What you can learn on the exhibit floor is how to take that intelligent mail data and coordinate it for text messaging, and for email messaging, so that mail is part of your whole advertising spectrum.
Yeah.
Really exciting.
It's all tied together, and on top of that, and we talked a little, and the PMG talked about a little today, using smart devices with your physical mail piece, scanning QR codes or mobile barcodes or any of those things to take customers, to a buying site, or make it. He really pushed that kind of one-click mentality, drive the consumer behavior, make the experience, amazing is probably not the right word, but you know what I mean. Make them remember the experience, use their mobile devices, click on it, get them to purchase something, drive that behavior, drive their expectations, or meet their expectations, exceed them even if, through mail, with tying it with all of this technology, use the data. I thought that was really came through very clear in his message.
Yeah, there was this cool moment in the video where the kid took a mail piece and put it up to the TV, and
Yes.
the TV then went to the site of that mail piece so that they could order the product.
Right.
Are those videos going to be on the npf.org website?
Probably. We do record the general keynote session, and we work to make that available on the NPF site. I think the Postal Service has also tried to get that and put it on USPS TV online.
On
but
YouTube.
there were some really cool videos in there. Instead of being afraid of technology, we need to embrace it and understand how it's going to transform the industry. I think the PMG's key points were to make mail personal. Use all that data like the internet sites do to really target which advertisements you see. Use that for mail. Make it actionable and relevant and functional. So a lot of what we were talking about is enable purchases right from a mail piece. So it's an exciting future.
And there's tons of promotions that are going through in 2013 that was approved by the Postal Regulatory Commission that really ties a lot of this, whether you're using it now or you plan to use it. There's a lot of promotions in 2013 tied around using this technology, using these barcodes, using all of these mobile devices to really kind of push the envelope with mail and allow customers a slight discount in order to test it, to see if it works for them so that they can make it a part of their package all year round.
We're looking forward to seeing what the 2014 incentives will look like.
Yeah, that'll
Gary
be...
Revlin will have a session tomorrow. He's our Vice President of Product Innovation. And following the GISA session, where she'll cover some of that, Gary will dive a little deeper and talk about what's been planned and what's coming in the future.
Yeah, I think it's really important that the Postal Service runs these pilots and prototypes because there is a feeling, I think, in Washington where the Postal Service is a bit of a state organization and they're only supposed to do certain things. I think the power is the consumer saying, this is really cool. I want to see this. I like the value I'm getting from the Postal Service with this new innovation, this new information. And I think there's some real value in these pilots, like the Metro Post, like the Go Post lockers, and some of these other things that are being introduced. And that's the future, and they have to change. Things have to change.
Things are changing.
Yep.
Tell us about the dialogue at Postal Vision 2020.
Well, Postal Vision 2020 is an initiative that kicked off a couple of years ago, and its whole purpose is to reinvent the American postal ecosystem. So this isn't just about the Postal Service per se, although the Postal Service is at its heart. It really has to do with all the folks you see here at the National Postal Forum, all the suppliers and the people who work with the Postal Service to deliver solutions to consumers and to business. So coming up here in the next month, in April, Postal Vision 2020 3.0 will be taking place in Washington, and its focus is really to take where the Postal Service is today and look even farther afield, farther out into the future. What should the Postal Service be in the next 5 to 10 years and beyond? One of the interesting things we're doing is we're actually pulling in some representatives of what we call the next generation. What do our kids expect the Postal Service to do and be for them in the next 10 years? People today look at things very differently in terms of communication. E-commerce is huge, and at the origins of the Postal Service, that wasn't why it was founded. But today it's a very, very important piece of the equation.
Well, when people think about mail, they mostly think about the USPS. Now, Tony, maybe you could tell us a little bit about all the other people that are dependent upon the Postal Service to earn a living. There's a lot of us, and you represent many of them.
Yeah. Well, in the nonprofit world, I certainly can speak to that. I mean, there are about 1 million nonprofit organizations all over the country, and many of them, not all of them, but many of them are in the mail. And mail it's fascinating. Those nonprofit organizations, many of the larger ones, the smaller ones, despite all the changes and all the move to the electronic medium, nobody can yet come close to matching the power of the mail. Nonprofits can't in the electronic medium. Try as they might, they can't do it. And it's still a go-to value. You mentioned a very important part of that earlier, Jody, and that is affordability. Nonprofit organizations, like other mailers, times are tough, and the days of the Postal Service jacks up prices and people just pay more and enter the same amount of volume, those days are over. Prices go up more than CPI, even when they go up at CPI, as we saw in January. You still get some, and in the nonprofit world, you've got a set budget. Revenues are declining, so your costs go up, well, you mail less. And that's, so affordability is going to be key going forward. And as that, over the last several years, as the revenues go down, you talk about the people that are employed, nonprofit organizations, I mean, they've tightened their belts, they've laid people off, they've reduced compensation. It's been tough on all of us. So we've been real thankful that the Postal, number one, we have the CPI cap, which is wonderful, I think, for the whole mailing industry and the Postal Service. And the fact that the Postal Service, this leadership of this Postal Service, Pat Donahue in particular, makes it clear time and time again he gets it.
Yeah.
They've got to downsize. The footprint is about twice what it should be. It's got to be much smaller. It's got to be maintained affordable. I mean, you talk about the vision. I mean, I really believe if the Postal Service could get its house in order, it would be allowed to get its house in order, I should say, to downsize and right size and get the costs right, they could decrease postage rates. And that's a way to really enhance the whole system, build the network, and you'd see a growth of mail.
Now, Jessica, you're representing the Association of Postal Commerce, which is a significant number of commercial mailers.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
So Postcom represents all shapes and sizes of mail. We do large mailers, small mailers, but mostly we have a lot of mail service providers on our board, as well as mail owners who we work as we don't represent any class or specific type of mail, but we try to represent the industry as a whole, so that when we approach various stakeholders, whether it's the Hill or the Postal Service, we kind of have the unified industry in mind and what's best for the industry. So we've been working a lot recently on some Hill activities, and we've also really kind of been following a lot of the action at the Postal Regulatory Commission, of course. They're getting ready to release their annual compliance determination, which looks at last year's costs and figures and things like that. So that will be coming out, so that'll be big news, and that comes out at the end of the month. And I know, Tony, you guys just filed something over at the commission.
Well, yeah, actually, we just, we've been at this, we started in late fall when the Postal Service proposed its new rates for 2013, and we found out kind of inadvertently that there were some nonprofit work-sharing discounts that were proposed that were shallower, less than their corresponding commercial work-sharing discounts. It's the same, you do the same work and it's the same savings, but in certain nonprofit cells they were getting lesser discounts. We raised it, we filed with the PRC, we raised it as an issue. The Postal Service gave us, I should say, a less than satisfactory response. The PRC accepted that less than satisfactory response. We had no choice, so we went to court, and we filed with the DC court there in Washington. We're still filed with the DC court. However, we were really fortunate about a week ago. We reached a settlement agreement with the Postal Service to resolve this issue. Rate discrimination against nonprofits is the reason we were founded in 1980. So it's a big deal to us. It's a big deal to nonprofits. And that settlement agreement has been submitted to the PRC, We're hoping that the PRC adopts it as it is, and when it releases its annual compliance report, which I think is due out 27, 28, somewhere in there. You know, if it goes awry, I don't think it will, but if it goes awry, then we'll have no choice to go ahead and full bore at the DC court. We're confident we're on the right side of the law, but we hope that it doesn't have to go that far. And I think the fact the Postal Service was willing to sit down with us and reach a settlement agreement demonstrates the fact that this thing should be resolved, and I think it will be.
Well, I would like to put in another plug for our peer-to-peer roundtables. If you're really into talking regulatory issues, the chairman of the Postal Regulatory Commission, Ruth Goldway, and Commissioner Mark Acton are here, and they're going to be hosting a roundtable, and they'll be there to talk about all things regulatory, I guess.
That's fabulous.
Yeah.
So if you weren't able to come to San Francisco for the Postal Forum, what about next year?
Next year is going to be in Washington, D.C. I believe it's in March again, and it's going to be at the new Gaylord property over in National Harbor.
And it's beautiful. I live across the bridge, and it is very nice. So I highly recommend, if you couldn't make this one, to definitely make DC. It's gonna be a great time.
I hope so. It's a year away, and planning starts as soon as this one's over.
I believe it. I believe it.
Will it be as early as this one? This is a little earlier than normal.
Yes, I believe. Now, you think I would memorize this, but you know where I look?
Stump the band?
The last page of the Postcom Bulletin always tells me
Good plug.
when upcoming
Good
events
plug.
are. But in my mind, I think I remember it's exactly a year off. The subsequent one will be in May, which will give us more time to plan, but we'll only have 12 months to plan the next one. That's how I remember it.
Okay.
Well, does anyone have any other hot topics they want to add before we say goodbye to anyone watching or listening?
Yeah, I just would like to just touch a bit on Postal Vision 2020 once again. Why it's real important is it is a forum where the industry and the Postal Service and in this case Congress, with Senator Tom Carper as our guest, are going to talk about the future of the Postal Service. We will have Randy Muskanek there to talk about where the Postal Service is going from a digital point of view. We will have Linda Abraham, who's the co-founder and chief marketing officer of ComScore. So you can see that people who would not be your normal mailing constituency is really quite interested in attending. So I'd like to put a little plug in there, April 23rd, 24th in Washington, D.C. And I think it's going to be one of the most interesting events of the spring.
Now you have videos on the postalvision2020.org website from last year and the year prior, right?
We do, absolutely. We have actually every session from the 2012 conference. And at that conference we had a variety of representatives, again, from technology, Cisco Systems, to name one, and of course from the Postal Service. Postmaster General Donahue actually addressed the group. So we do have that information there, and the videos, so they're split up so you can actually look by topic.
So you watch a video and then you invite people to comment on the site?
Yes, you can comment on the site, absolutely.
So challenge us for new questions and comments for this
Absolutely.
session this year.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, absolutely.
that would be great.
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to thank GrayHair Software for going ahead and hosting this great event and supporting us in this so we could bring Live from the Forum back again. It's, I think, third year running, so we hope to, again, do it in DC again.
Thank you for coming.
Yes, and thank you for everyone for participating, and I hope that you found this information useful, and we look forward to seeing you next year.
Prayers all say